Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Hi, good to see you all. I've got my notes on the computer today rather than on bits of paperwork that I keep flapping about. So
Mhm.
I'm trying to get sort of dragged into the modern age, but I'm resisting because I still like a lot of the traditional stuff. So it's push and pull. Mm. So yeah, this week I had a kind of chat with Star Family, and they wanted to emphasise two things, and I'll get to them. I think it will help if you kind of understand it or start perceiving it in that way. It will help you. So I'm kind of going to be talking about that because as we're kind of moving into 2020, the end of 2026 and 2027. We're kind of moving out of the age of control and manipulation and moving in to the age of spirit. Or so what that means is basically ego and spirit cannot coexist. So effectively, the people who are able to reach a point where they have understood themselves, but then they reach a point where they've stepped outside of themselves to see themselves as a separate entity. Those people are the conscious ones who are ascending, who are ascended. Basically, those are the ones who are going to be taking us forward with common sense in a kind of in a basic sense, pointing out all the sort of stuff that's been going on, sort of for the past 5 years, predominantly, but also the past several hundred years because it goes in cycles. But so it's important to share some of these metaphysical kind of principles with you guys because you're already a step ahead of the main population, and you're already working with energies, and you already kind of understand kind of a lot of the spiritual teachings or esoteric stuff, and this is I think relevant to today as well. So yeah, so today's chat is just basically about the truth as light, and its information and knowledge. And I've got the document there. Hopefully James popped that up. Thank you, Jane. So I kind of I'm going to read from my little from the bit I wrote. Um, yeah, it's an individual's journey, and we're all on our own unique path of understanding. You're just here for a short time only. In this particular life, we're eternal beings. So we're building up kind of soul knowledge like beads on a necklace, if you like. And each bead is more informed than the previous one. So we're just here for a short time, and everything is temporary, and everything is in constant transition. And as you know, everything is energy, vibration, and frequency, or energy, frequency, and vibration. So energy doesn't die; it just transforms, and everything is in constant flux. And that's the whole. That's the whole kind of understanding of the physics of source or the universe or God, whatever you want to call it, or or just nature or just creation. So um, when we're not one thing, and we're constantly evolving consciousness that changes itself and experiences new things. So we've learned to ride a bike when we were a kid. We can jump on a bike and ride that. We hadn't learned to drive a car when we were a kid. Our constant learning journey, basically, that's what life is. And even if you don't think that you're actually learning anything new, like riding a bike or driving a car or operating a new piece of machinery, you are constantly learning new stuff. You're learning new ways to think about things, new routes to see friends, new options. Your mind is constantly oxygenating, and you're going through life experiencing it. And you're never the same person twice. That's why there's that teaching: you can't cross a river twice because you're not the same person. The weather's different. You've got different amount of cells in your body, different thoughts. It's a different time of day. The river's different levels. You know, there's different combinations of creatures around you. All these sort of factors show basically that life is constant transition, and we're constantly evolving and constantly learning. So these experiences and new things change you, and also you change them by your observation and awareness and your interaction with them. So you're made of light, literally a being of light. This is not a metaphorical statement. This is a visible, you are visible because you emit light, and that is because you are literally made up of light itself. Now, the reason I say this is that, you know, we are capable of 100 watts worth of energy. If you kind of multiply up the energy of each individual cell, you know, the whole body is capable of about 100 watts. Metabolically speaking, energy-wise, we can go up to 200 to 300 watts. But also equally, in times of exercise, we can go up to 2,000 watts. Now, we are literally, we don't look like the sun, but we are suns, effectively. Our hearts are like projectors. They project the physical being into reality, into light. So we are literally made of light. There are kind of experiments now where they're showing that the body can emit light if they put it in a closed room full of dark with sensitive light reading material, machinery. They can detect the biophotons literally coming off the body, and there's a faint glow. Things like the inception of us, the literal moment we spark of life, is the zinc or the calcium spark, and that creates light itself. So that sets our actual template or signature, if you like, of light. So we are literally encoded light, like a fountain, if you like, of light, held within a electromagnetic field. So I'm trying to explain the mechanics of the universe, physics and stuff. And what I'm trying to explain is that there's a thing called constructive interference and destructive interference. So if you can kind of close your eyes and imagine the whole of the universe, source, God, creation, it's like an ocean, literally constantly rippling, constantly moving about. And it's a mind, it's the whole universal mind. And we're all fractals of that. So we have our own individual minds swimming within the greater universal source, mind, creation, God, if you like. So we don't actually have consciousness in us. We are swimming in it. And we're like kind of like little sieves. And as we swim in it, we create our own individual consciousnesses in that sieve. And that broadcasts our particular individual being. So dependent on our thoughts and our consciousness, our little mini consciousness that's scraping through or filtering through the whole of the universe and all its frequencies, we filter out, oh, I'm not a girl. So for example, I've limited myself to being a bloke. I'm not brown-eyed, so I've limited myself to being blue-eyed. So all the way along the line, we limit ourselves to a concept of what we are in our mind. And then that broadcasts through our DNA frequencies into light in our magnetic field, through gravity coalescing into a well, basically. And if I can explain, I've got a baby's rattle here. Technical tool coming up. As you can see, it's got like little beads inside the glass chamber. But if I kind of spin it, all the beads, they kind of go up and they're held in the air. Now, instead of these beads, imagine that's sort of frequencies colliding, basically, in that magnetic field, in that kind of toroidal electromagnetic bubble. Now, as they collide, they create light, basically, if they constructively collide. But if they deconstructively collide, they cancel each other out. Anyway, the end result is us beautiful biological light beings. So, so the frequencies of the whole unified field of all possibilities and all computations are there in the ether, in source, filtered into a concentrated assemblage point, you, basically, that illuminates inside an electromagnetic toroidal field as a biological body of light. We are so cool. I mean, literally, that's physics. I'm not saying, yeah, I can say it from an esoteric or spiritual sort of point of view, but I can also say it from a scientific point of view, because there's this thing called ether, and that is the old-fashioned name. The new name for ether that the quantum physicists call it is the Higgs field, because the Higgs boson particle was found. So that basically says, so convert what you would call ether into the Higgs field. That's a field of latent potential, any potential, all frequencies, all scales. So scalar waves, all sorts of waves, the whole of every frequency in the energy spectrum. So if you think about the ether, it's like a great big bowl of water, and we're all swimming in it. So there's no kind of like, pretend that you can breathe underwater. We're all swimming in a big bowl of water that's the size of the universe, that's constantly expanding out. So, but we don't see ourselves swimming in water because we're in an atmosphere, we're in an electromagnetic bubble that the Earth creates, which is a bit further out, but it's kind of like that. But inside that electromagnetic bubble is still ether, is still water, is still the Higgs field. And then there's this thing now that they call the Schwinger effect. Now, the Schwinger effect is basically where light or elements emerge from the field. So we assume that outer space is nothing, it's a void. There's, you know, just planets and stars and all that out there, but it's not. It's all suspended in a form of liquid. So if you think of outer space as a form of clear water, and all these heavenly bodies, all these planets, galaxies, nebulae, stars, they're all suspended in this water. They're all underwater with us, basically, and they all create a field, a magnetic, electromagnetic field around them. In the case of the Earth, we have that, they call it the firmament, but it's basically like an electromagnetic field that the planet creates. It creates a toroidal field, and then the atmosphere is contained within that, and all of life on planet Earth is contained within that. But equally, an apple will contain an electromagnetic field, a tree, a plant, us. So it's all, we're all interrelated. We're all fractals of the greater. We're basically not a drop in the ocean. We're the ocean, but we think we're the drop. So I'm digressing here. I want to get back to my point. Sorry. So how light works is truth. Obviously now, if you're in a dark room, you know, if you're looking at an entrance to a room and it's pitch black and there's no lights on, you don't have any information. So you could go in there and stumble and fall and crash and hurt yourself because you don't know what's there, because you can't see, you haven't got any visual information. But when you switch the light on, the light informs you of the layout of the room. It informs you about, there's a table there, a table edge you could trip on, or there's a roller skate on the floor, or whatever it is. The light then presents your eyes with that information. So you become informed because of light. Okay, so that's kind of very simple way of looking at light. Whatever it falls upon reveals whatever it's shining on, and can bring you back information depending on how you view it. So depending on how you shine your light on things as well will depend on what information comes back to you and how you can interpret that and navigate the room and get to the door on the other side. So that's about light shining on things. Also, I mean, how you observe something. Now, there's this thing called the observation effect. I think it was Heisenberg first proposed it. Basically, if you look at something, it changes. But also, if you look at something, if you observe something, it changes you. So depending on what you're observing, will bring back certain information depending on your bias. So if you're kind of like biased about kind of sloths, and you're a wildlife cameraman and you're filming this very rare bird and a sloth comes into view, you're going to be annoyed because you're anti-sloths and he's just spoiled your shot of a bird, lovely rare bird. But if you're kind of like neutral about sloths and stuff like that, you know, you're just going to film nature and see it all unfold. And maybe the sloth and the bird have a wildlife interaction in nature that's not been documented before. So if you didn't have that bias, you may be able to observe something in a more detailed, neutral way that presents itself more authentically to you. And you glean that little bit more information because you're not filtering that information that you're observing with your own particular bias. So generally, sort of wildlife cameramen and women, they observe in a kind of neutral essence because in a way they want to bring back the rawest data and particularly pick up any kind of behavioral traits that haven't been documented before, for example. They did that with chimpanzees, sort of picking up tools and things like that. And it's a way of looking at things and then gleaming information. But also, you know, if you look at something and it becomes aware of you watching, then you'll change. You'll be like, oh, I've been spotted, and you'll change. But also that person will change because they become aware of you. So depending on your observation as well is depending on how you can glean information. If you can observe something in its raw state without kind of like bringing attention to your observation of it, or you observing it, them or it, then you can glean that raw nature out of it because it's not conscious of you, it's not aware of you observing it, and it's just doing its thing naturally. But equally, if something's aware of you, then it will change the way that you observe them, and also the way that they behave. They won't be in necessarily their authentic kind of natural state. So that's just a bit about how we observe things and how things change depending on how we observe them. You know, I can revert back to the double slit experiment, or you know, the nature of something like a particle collapsing into a wave collapsing into a particle, for example, by our observation of it. Now, this is a really important principle because if you think about it, we can affect whatever we're observing, and the universe can affect, or whatever we're observing can affect us. And that means that we're intrinsically linked. Now, there's no separation. I'll give you another example of how our consciousness affects the field around us. Matsumoto, you know, the jars of rice, the fact that the ones said love had a sweet smell, the fact that the ones that had hate on them were all rotten, and the ones that were completely neglected had the most rot and decay. And now that was just pure intention. That was like just the intention of words, and your intention is of your mind with that concept of that word affecting the field, affecting the rice in a jar in this particular case. But say, I'll bring another example. You know, someone who comes into a room brings their whole charisma with them. They've got their whole bubble of personality and stuff. Like, they will come into a room, light up a room, tell some funny jokes or be a bit of a clown. They'll get everyone laughing, you know, they'll and leave, and then everyone will be like, oh, it's such a, you know, really nice person. Oh, that was a really good vibe. That's a way in which their conscious intention radiates in the field and then affects others in the room. So we are all capable of this. We're all capable. I mean, we're all sitting in rooms that were once an idea in someone's mind, that then followed through with bricks and mortar, and then built the actual thing. So we're all master manifestors. All we need to do is come up with the idea, bring it together, and then materialize that into reality. But it's the same for our thoughts, and it's the same for us as beings of light. We can affect other beings of light. We can spark them off. We can inspire them, you know, to do more, to find their own inner calling and their own passions and stuff like that. So also equally, the absence of light. If you shine a light on something and someone's kind of like, I've got to move out of here. I don't want to be seen. You know, it's kind of obvious that they're hiding something, or it's kind of obvious that they don't feel comfortable being exposed to something, for example. So by also the absence of light, you can tell something. It also informs you about situation. People act in different ways according to how the light shines upon them as well. So so there's that. Then we've got, here we are. Now this is the important part Star Family was saying. There are places in this world that are kept secret. They're hidden from knowledge. They're hidden. They're covered up. They're dark areas of mystery, and they are known to be places of absence of light. So you know, if you can see places that have absence of light, I'll leave it as kind of a broad statement like that. Then that will inform you as well of things. But the main thing Star Family wanted to say was that, and I'll ad lib on this one, our light goes two ways. So we have, our eyes face forward and our attention faces forward. Okay. And then in that attention, we get awareness of something. But if we're not aware of something, we don't know to ask to look for it as well. And sometimes we may be looking at something, but that we're not aware of. So we won't actually be seeing what we're looking at. It's about perception. So your attention, depending on, you know, we're front-facing beings. So our attention is like a beam. It's like a beam outwards. And then through that attention that we're shining that light beam of attention, of awareness onto things, we get informed by that. We inform ourselves. We don't have anyone who's telling us. So we're shining our beam of light out in a beam because we've got two eyes, and our attention faces forwards. But our awareness is more omnidirectional. Our attention informs our awareness, and our awareness is much greater than just our particular attention at the time. So in our awareness, it can inform us about what we're paying our attention to. So for example, we may have prior experience of other things, and then we'll see something new, and that will be the middle piece that connects the other two things that weren't connected before. So it's really important to stress that if you are learning, if you're an autodidact, which I hope you all are, if you like researching, if you like finding nuggets of information and going, oh, I didn't know that before, oh, clever me, kind of thing, and get a bit of a buzz from it, that's brilliant, because you're teaching yourself without someone biased telling you what it is. You're discovering life for yourself. So the other way is having light beamed into you. It's like someone, effectively what I'm doing now to you, is telling you things, and you're absorbing that light. But in the case of mainstream media, you know, it's all spin, it's all lies, it's all kind of false sort of narratives. And so people who passively sit there and absorb light being beamed into them are being programmed effectively. They're accepting the narrative that's being beamed into them, and they're passively accepting it. They're not aware that they are. And then they form that opinions which they think are their own, but they're actually just agreeing with the mainstream narrative at the time. And that's a form of light that's beaming into us. And now that reminds me of the experiment of the salamander and the frog. They could change a frog to a salamander by beaming the light from the embryo of a salamander into a frog embryo. Now, depending on what light that you're absorbing, that's effectively your diet. And that's turning on and off your genes, that's turning on and off your DNA, that's epigenetics, because what you're doing is you're forming opinions based on narratives that are beamed into you. You have no control of that. It's whatever's beamed into you. So I just want, and Star Family, want you to be aware that beaming out your curiosity, your inquiry, your research, your passions, your interests, your wanting to find things out is the best way of learning stuff, because you're not having some other dogmatic or ideology sort of telling you how to think, telling you what to conclude from what you observe and what you find. So the best way to be is to beam your light onto things, to research, to find them. Have an idea in your mind. Oh, I didn't know about fondue, cheese fondue. I'm going to research about cheese fondue now. Rather than someone saying, oh, yes, there's 2 types of cheese fondue only, and that's it. You can't have any more. You break the law if you come up with a new type of cheese fondue. So when you go and search and find things for yourself, that's when you get the real raw data that you can then interpret for yourself without the opposite way, which is light being beamed into you. And we absorb that. We naturally absorb that as part of our diet as much as food and drink. So just Starfound, we wanted us to be aware that our awareness and our attention are like beams of light. We can beam them out, but also we can absorb other people's beams as well. So we're made of light and dark. We need to know that they're both ends of the spectrum. We're capable each of being really cruel, or even with our words, or physically, harmful to others. But equally, we're capable of healing and being really kind and loving with our words. Those frequencies are really powerful, and they can bring people together, and they can help people energize themselves and all sorts of things. So we are capable of great darkness and great light. And so knowing that you've got this seesaw where you're actually both ends, there's the same entity of the whole entity. So think of yourself in the middle as being able to control either your dark and your light, or ignore both of them at the same time and just be in the neutral space. So you've got that option. It's not just black or white. You don't have to go to bias towards the light or bias towards the dark. You can remain in that neutral space and observe both, and actually help them inform you about who you are in that neutral space. And the greatest thing is integration. When you integrate your dark and your light, you have a third power. So that's where light is information, basically, as I said about the dark room and switching the light on. The more you experience life, the more you go about doing things, and the more you see the variables of life, the more awareness you have of all the different connotations of life. But also, the more that you experience life, the more information comes back from that experience. It's like if you can imagine experience as a river, you have to kind of cross through it to know what feeling wet is like. So on the other side of that river, on the other side of that bank, you can talk about, oh, my feet got wet. Oh, what's wetness, water, this, that current, all sorts of new things that you wouldn't have been able to talk about. You could hypothesize about on the bank before you cross the river. But after you've crossed that river of experience, whatever it is that you've experienced in life, you can talk about it because you've experienced it, you've lived it. So the more you do these things, the more you see that life is full of variables, full of wonderful variables, and it's not as limited as you potentially think it is, from all the kind of 3D programming that we've been indoctrinated with. So really, I want you to actually realize that this is, I'm not trying to flatter you, you are actually beings of light. You are giving off a light signature, which is your DNA, which is the combination of all your thoughts and your particular signature coming together in that electromagnetic field and lighting up. Yeah. And that's what is presented as, the fountain of light called Matt, or fountain of light called Jane, for example. So I just wanted to emphasize that light is really important, and you can shine that out and radiate and light other people up and spark them off. But you also can observe things and learn things if you have reduce your filter, your bias, because more of raw life and nature and the essence of source will come back to you. So yeah, that's kind of really, in a nutshell, just be aware of light being beamed into you, or you beaming light out onto things. Okay, so our attention and our awareness is directional. Our awareness is omnidirectional. So yeah, so that's my little bit done now about light as truth and information. I didn't say nature, because sacred geometry, nature presents itself as the ultimate truth, because actually if you nature without the hands of man, basically it will be sacred geometry. It will be all those cymatics folding into a formula with DNA and then expressing itself as that formula, say, as a plant. So nature is, if you observe nature at its most rawest without man, you're observing the most purest truth, because that's the divine sacred expression of geometry that we call living biology, but that underpins all of life and stuff like that. So yeah, just wanted to say that about light. And of course, enlightenment is the more you experience and the more you understand, the more knowledge you have, the more light you gain in your vessel, and the more light you gain in your vessel, which can never fill up, by the way, eternally filling, the more light you gain in your body. This is literally how you start glowing more, by experiencing stuff, by becoming more aware of more things, by having more information come into you to, you know, comprehend stuff about life. And that basically is enlightenment, because your mind fills up with light and your whole body fills up with light. So that's the kind of key to enlightenment. It's just knowing loads of stuff and experiencing loads of stuff in life, and then applying wisdom to that. You know, it's no good being academic, knowing loads of things. It's not a competition like Mensa, you know, I know the most. It's actually how you apply that knowledge with wisdom, because after a certain amount of time, you've got so much knowledge, you can apply wisdom to that sort of thing. So yes, so that's my bit about my bit over. And I think we'll go to everyone now and say hi. And so start with who are we going to start with, Jane?
Claire.
Let's start with Claire. Hi, Claire. Nice to see you.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good. Because I usually have problems with the audio, but it seems to be okay at the moment. That was fascinating, Matt. Thank you so much. And I just wanted to add that in my experience, because that's what I do. I'm just being, with a capital B, and just have gone through massive transformation in the last 3 months, having been away, and just finding peace, just experiencing that total inner peace. So very, very lucky. But and then when we came back, it was time to sort of put into practice what I'd been experiencing, because I'm different. I'm a whole different person than I was before I went away, and it's living in that that heart coherence that I've discovered is when you align with the coherence of your heart energy, that peace, that divine, it sort of ripples out in a deeper, more intense way than I can ever explain. There's no need to then label it as healing, because it will only, those souls around you, or situations, or people, unless they're in alignment with that coherence, it won't affect them. But the the scope and the range of that coherence is,
I mean, it's
infinite.
Love. You know, when you've got that inner peace, and that it's literally a harmonic of a frequency, and when other people feel that harmonic of the frequencies that you're putting out, it literally, it's like a metronome. Have you seen the ones with loads of metronomes starting they all start ending up kind of resonant, ticking at the same time together? So our heart mind coherence has that effect on the field. I mean, you literally can tell the difference between a house that's got loads of love in it and a house next door to that that's kind of like got no love in it. You know, you can see how much the difference between how much love affects things. So yeah, it's really important to be able to understand that,
and also what you were saying about we radiate out our light, shine our light. That's so true. And I am aware of lots and lots of different things. I don't do the research that lots of other people seem to do, but I have a capacity to absorb that. But what I needed to say more than anything else is that the intense need to be out in nature to recharge.
absolutely.
Because the intensity of the light that comes in when you're in nature, it is just next level. It's
And especially at the moment in the UK, we've got that spring green, that lime green colour. Those frequencies are amazing, you know.
And the colours change and everything is so much brighter. It's just so I'm really lucky. Thank you, and thank you to Peter for being for having everyone here tonight.
Oh, you know, it's a joy. I absolutely love it, because this is literally not talking about the holistic community. This is literally the holistic community doing what we do. And so it's, you know, it's not the hypothetical, and that's what's so lovely about it. We're only just starting to get the wheels moving, but you know, my word, we're, you know, just us small amount are capable of so much already. So
And also
thanks, Claire.
just one last thing, the profound and deeply, deeply important need for connection. We must
absolutely.
we
Unity
must
consciousness.
keep doing this.
Yes.
Must keep connecting.
Definitely. Thank you, Claire. Appreciate that. So who have we got next? Heather. Hi, Heather. Do you know what? It's so annoying. I can't speak to you all for longer. You're all brilliant, and I kind of want to speak to you.
Myself.
I want to have like an evening where we just chat, you know, and stuff. So, and I hate cutting people short. Sorry, Claire, and everyone. By the way, just for future people. Hi, Heather. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. But I think that the conversation is really stimulating, and as other people share things, you know, I find like my mind goes along with it all as well. And I love the information you passed to us this evening, because I totally resonate with all of that completely. And this being aware is such a skill, not to get the emotional attachment to things. I find that quite challenging at times. Because, you know, really in life, you know, I'm dealing with my kids, my grandkids, all the stuff they're going through. And it is challenging not to get emotionally entangled in stuff when it's your family, I guess, and your friends.
No, totally.
But so grounding, I'm finding that for me is coming back into my heart and grounding again, and grounding. And I think that's a wonderful thing to do. I really do. Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, we're all doing our best, aren't we? You know, we're not. I mean, we're imperfectly perfect. I think we're imperfectly perfect or perfectly imperfect. You know, and we're all whole beings. So we just forget that. And life's just one learning journey. So we, you know, don't know everything, sort of thing.
But the energetic thing is so true, and I've really been trying to focus on that in the last couple of months. And I've been away on holiday, and where I was, the energy was so calm, literally calm. And when I came back, it was, oh my God, it felt like just walking back into treacle again. And so being aware of being energy, like when I look at the sky and I'm watching what's going on in the sky. So now I've got these little tricks now of talking to it and everything is energy. And I know that. So I know that at some level I'm doing good. So I'm just going with that now.
Yeah, just
I'm doing good.
we're amazing. I mean, if you think about it, you were conceived, you conceived yourself through your parents effectively, and you've lived a life up to this point, and you're still broadcasting this beautiful signature of light. And you've got, you know, you've got family around you, and you've got a wonderful playground of earth to live on, something. So, you know, and we're all living this temporary experience. So it kind of puts it in perspective, really. A lot of people who ruminate and dwell on themselves too much then literally manifest that kind of lower frequency reality. So the more you can actually kind of think of others, actually the more it's service to self, because you know, you're influencing others. They love you and they want to, you know, be supportive of you, sort of thing. So yeah, absolutely, just be in your heart field and be your lovely self, and you know, that's all you can do, isn't it, really?
And it's quite fascinating to keep observing, like I might think something about somebody or whatever, and then it's go, oh, why did you just do that? What part of me is still feeling that she needs to do that? And I'm finding it's really quite fascinating.
I see it as climate, because an incident will happen and then I'll get like a cluster of thoughts about it. So something will have happened, and then I'll get like about 30 thoughts, which are like, oh, it could have been that, oh, it could have been this possibility, oh, it could have been that, or it might be this, or so you get an incident happen, something's presented, and then you experience that as the second part of it. And then after that experience, you it's like a boat that trawls, you know, it's got a wake behind it. That wake is those thoughts after the incident. So if you can kind of see that as like weather, you know, some of those thoughts will be a bit kind of moody clouds, some of them will be sunshine, some of them will be a bit of rain and thunder. You can kind of observe it. Oh, I'm thinking this, oh, that's popped up in my mind, oh, this kind of narrative's going on, oh, that reminds me of the past. You can watch it, but not, and you can entertain it, but not entangle in it. And it's quite interesting, because that kind of script of climate coming past you is informing you who you are. It's saying, oh, you care about this person, oh, you do that because you know, you want everything to be nice with things. So even if they're dark thoughts and you're not entangling in them, they inform you about who you are as a person, whether you're moral, whether you care, whether you don't, you know, what sort of things are triggering you, maybe that you need to work on, that pop up and stuff. So yeah, just be your lovely self, and that's all we can do, kind of thing.
It's good adventure. But
Thanks,
thank you
Heather.
for sharing those words. That was really, really good.
Thanks, Heather. Thanks, appreciate that.
Thank you.
Hi, Nicole. How are you?
Hello, everybody. How you doing? I've realised I'm a bit in the shadow here. Look, I've got a candle. I make that a bit nicer. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful sharing. I always write lots of notes when you speak. It's really, really inspiring. I got some news.
Oh, go for it.
So I've requested a tent space at the Shine this year, and I'm going to. I'm going to call it Altar, as in ALTAR, Altard Space, and it's a temple of creative expression. So I'm going to actually exhibit my artwork that I've been working on for the last 25 years.
Oh, fab.
I've got 3 paintings. This is actually, hold on. This one is almost finished. I've been working on this for years. But hold on.
Oh, wow.
So, interesting enough, this was a trickster for ages, and then it became magic mushrooms. And then this one here is cannabis, but it's all about galactic plant medicine. Like there's a little light being here passing on all these codes, and yeah, I can't wait to share it.
Oh, excellent. Are you going to put them up for sale?
Oh, I hadn't even thought along those lines, but maybe I need to. Maybe I need to start.
I've got all these lovely babies around me, all these kind of wonderful things that I'm reluctant to get rid of because they're still giving me joy.
Yeah.
But I know I had to at some point to make some new ones.
What about prints of them? Would you consider that, or? I
think that's a bit of faff, to be quite honest, because postcards maybe, but not sort of big prints. and I kind of just want to shift them now, some of them. So,
Yeah.
and Justina, if you've been following what's going on with her, she's actually selling them hand over fist now at things like exhibitions and things. So
I'm a little bit scared because they're so personal. This is the thing. And you know, and it's like the colors off on this. It's like a kind of psychological journey, you know. But this one here behind me, I've photographed that over the last 6 years, maybe. So it's been like a pre-COVID thing. And what I want to work out how to do now is to make a kind of reel that I can play next to the painting.
oh right, nice.
Because it's gone through some weird stages, you know. And then I'm going to host some workshops in poetry, collage, painting, and altar making. With this idea that this creativity is an expression of divinity, and it's me really leaning into my joy. Like, what am I here to do? It's to express and create. And I actually feel at the moment, I turned 50 this year, and it's given me permission to remember who I am. You know, I've had some amazing life experiences so far, but I don't want to be defined by a story. I'm clearing my channel and beaming, like you say, but from here as well as the eyes, you know, that's and really like leaning into daily practices. Like today I felt all this anxiety in my heart, and I just started toning, and I could feel that spiral chamber of my heart just opening. And I was like, actually, it's these kind of things I can share as an everyday, okay, when you feel it, and then it opens everything up. So yeah,
it does work. Toning is so important as well. Humming as well.
Yeah.
You know, when people in choirs and stuff report such good health because they are singing in their joy and stuff. So simple techniques like that. I mean, you're talking basically new technology, frequency technology. So if people, we're the tech. Do you know what I mean? So
well, this is what I'm realizing, and I think, I mean, the extent to which we have been lied to is incredible. I can't really give that any more thought. So I love researching things, and so, like, for example, during a day, I mean, there's everything from, I was born in Kingston, so I've been looking at places in the world called Kingston and what the name means and what it could mean and why did I choose my parents and what's the, you know, I'm looking at the piezoelectric effect and then thinking about Bristol being loads of quartz and how the energies then create that energy underground, and Tartarian architecture, and yeah, there's no end. I started a new book a few days ago, and I've already like done chunky pages. So
this is what happens, you know. I mean, when you're in your joy and you're literally, our life force is the same as sexual energy. It's creative energy.
Well, I'm not getting any of that, so
well, perhaps doing it through art is a good kind of substitute for the moment.
The juices are flowing though. This is the thing, and I think probably it's the first time in my life I've not sought that kind of outside of myself, you know. So yeah, thank you anyway.
Also, I mean, it depends on how you kind of want to sell, whether you want to sell your art, what you're making your art for as well, whether it's nourishment for yourself or whether it's kind of something that you want to get out into the world.
I'm ready to be seen. I'm ready to be seen, but it's a whole thing. It's music, it's art, and what I'm kind of selling is a creative process.
Good.
And this idea that it's creative, it's a creative therapeutic practice for me. And I can document from when I ran off with a cult in my 20s, it was a sketchbook that brought me back, and it was all galactic stuff that was coming through. And I've been keeping journals since I was 17. So I'm now kind of collating it all. I'm writing my book and recording my album, but I'm just getting myself out there. I'm letting all my quirks hang out. Good. And it's quite exposing, but fuck it. Like, if not now, when?
Good. This is so important. Be yourself and don't apologize for it. You know, if you're not hurting yourself or hurting anyone else.
Perfectly imperfect. I'm such a force for good in this world. This is what I accept now. And
this is what art's all about. You
know what? Some people don't like that though. I was in the changing room the other day at the leisure centre I work at. I was getting ready, and I'll shut up after this, but I walked in, really good mood. I was whistling a tune, and a woman getting changed said, "Shut the fuck up." And so I just,
I know those people. I've met them as well. There are people who enjoy being miserable. They're not happy, literally, unless they're miserable. They've got to bitch, moan, and whine about something to be happy. It's the inversion of joy. It's literally they've been programmed so much on. Oh, look at that loving couple over there making out with each other, enjoying each other. Oh, all that lovey-dovey stuff. That's literally programming people to be the opposite and denigrate the act of union and people coming together and that joy, and put that down as like old-fashioned or kind of wet and soppy. That's the part of the programming of our culture that goes in. So the more artists who are expressing themselves, being creative, because that's the opposite of expression is the opposite of depression. You're injecting all that beautiful, unique frequencies into the world, into the field. And there's going to be other people who resonate on that level. I mean, I've got people who bought sort of paintings of my robots. I did like a series of 50s robot toys that I used to buy. And ring me up from Scotland saying, oh, I see your picture every day and it brings me such joy. And I'd forgotten all about that painting and stuff like that, but it's still giving joy in the world and things like that. So go for it, really go for it, and be beaming your beautiful signature out there for all to see, sort of thing.
Thank you so much. I can't wait to see you guys there. And I was thinking, for the PLC thing, would you consider taking on a kind of welfare role? Because there's no welfare tent at the Shine, and I think we kind of need it. Just somewhere where you can
absolutely
just land for a minute,
Yeah, I want to.
like that idea.
I want to speak to Eli about getting a tent there, a marquee, and then we'll have the PLC hub there, which is like the first physical hub. I even want to ask someone to do a PLC flag, but I'll leave that till another time.
Well, I'm going to be making some banners this year. I've figured out that roller blinds are the best material to paint on because you can kind of hang them down. So I'm very happy to do one if you have a kind of logo or lettering or whatever in mind.
Yes. Oh, thank you. I'll send you the logo. It's like a roundel with a heart and then a sort of figure 8 in it.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that.
Brilliant. Thanks.
But yeah, with regards to the Shine thing, it's probably worth sending on their contact thing on the website. Just send a request for a tent because they are having meetings already and starting to kind of delegate stuff.
I'll do that tomorrow.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks, guys. Lots of love to you all. Mwah.
Hi, Pamela. How are you?
Hello, I'm well, thank you. How is everybody? Well, nice to see everybody. Well said, Matt. I think you did a great job explaining things that I've heard many people explain before or read many things about, but you put it together in a nice, cohesive, attainable manner for people. So well done. Nothing particularly new or exciting going on with me. I've just been continuing to pay attention to the things that come up for me, and working through them. And that's always an ongoing thing. And then last night I got several hellos, which I hadn't had for a while. So that was really nice. And they were obvious. In fact, they were waiting for me.
Star Family, we're talking about.
Yeah, Star Family. Yeah. I hadn't seen them in a while and was starting to wonder, is everything okay? I always said that out there, is everything okay? Hope you're doing well, that kind of thing. Because they're busy, and just stepped outside and bam, they were right there before I even had a chance to connect, and then I got another one after that, obvious. So that always feels good. But it also comes back to what you were talking about with frequency, because oftentimes when I'm watching all the air traffic in the sky, and it's considerable at different times, I can feel it. And it's almost like they're reaching out to me before I see them or know what's going on. And you can, it's very tangible. And I know it's frequency. And I know it's more than just telepathic or just hard energy. There's more to it than that. So I think that plays into it as well. There's that level of communication that's going on in interaction.
Absolutely. I mean, the new understanding, which is coming out as part of the disclosure, is that a Star Family use consciousness technology. What's being kept from us is that we are an awareness field, we're a field of awareness, basically a cluster of light that's got consciousness and an awareness, and there's no literal boundary to that. Yes, we've got our toroidal field, but there's no boundary to, say, the six senses, say psychic or telepathic. So that's why Star Family they come along and they assess who we are. They see on a frequency how high self-loving we are, how less harmful we are to others and ourselves, how sort of curious beings we are about wanting to explore the world. And they see this on a kind of frequency map, and they say, well, these are the guys that aren't going to crucify us or worship us like some sort of gods, and that we're going to start helping them with light unlock and frequency that unlocks them their dormant DNA that has been suppressed through mind control and epigenetics through previous generations. So the wonderful thing about knowing these new technologies and new understandings of Star Family and where we're going as humanity is that there's no limit between us and anything else in the universe. We can take our mind back in time, even. We can reminisce on an event that happened in our past and take our minds there. We can also kind of project our minds to the future as well, because they're all interplaying at the same time. So it's lovely when people understand that yes, they're a sort of what would be considered an individual being, but actually that they're just a drop in the ocean. So there's no separation between us and Star Family, apart from the conditioning our consciousness puts on ourselves. So the more you kind of release those conditions and realize that you're all of everything, and that you actually are the one limiting yourself from being that, the more they become familiar, and the more that they make themselves known, and the more your DNA starts unlocking, and the more of yourself starts coming online. And it's lovely because people are discovering all sorts of talents that they thought that they had but never explored, but then start exploring now, and then they're like, wow, I'm really good at this. I should have done this a lot earlier, kind of stuff. So Star Family, it's funny, I literally go into the alleyway, and one Merkaba bar is catching my eye every time it's there. It's like going, hi. The minute I glance out the window, it's there waiting for me, going, hi, sort of thing. So they actually love us, type of humans who are awake above that field of unconscious, people who are not conscious of themselves. They're just reacting rather than aware of themselves. So yeah, the more that you come into your natural divine calling, the more they'll want to support you and show up, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Thanks, Pamela.
It's fun. Thanks.
So who's that? Robin. Nice to see you, Robin. Hi, Robin. How are you doing?
Yep, I'm fine. There's a lot going on with the various groups, but it's all good. It's so lovely to be reminded that we are energy beings and we are beings of light, and we just need to be reminded continuously. Well, I do. I need to be reminded of that, and I have a series of affirmations and visualizations that I do every morning. And one of them is about the fact we are all one. Now, we know that the authorities, the cabal, whatever you want to call it, they want to keep us separated. They don't want us to get together. But the truth is, we are all one. And the expression that you used of unity consciousness is absolutely the one we need to keep all the time in us. And one of the things I say every morning is, I love everyone I meet. Now, the reason I do that is, say I'm walking around the streets of a local town, and I notice someone is wearing some terrible clothes. And it's I have to really catch myself and say, hold on, Robin. I love everyone I meet. So that's why in practice, I have to put these things into practice so that I know it's true and realize that we are souls currently living in a particular body. Last time it was a different body. Next time, maybe it'll be a different body. But we are, that's who we are. And
There's
it's so beautiful to remember that. Sorry.
No, that's, I mean, absolutely spot on. I mean, there's a lovely, I can't remember the name of it now. It's an Indian principle. If you can imagine, we're all basically jewels with cut faces, and we're all reflections of each other. So, you know, in amongst around me are other jewels with the cut faces, and in those cut faces is a reflection of my jewel, of me. Now, in every jewel, there is a reflection of every jewel. So, you know, on every fascia, there'll be the reflection of the jewels around me that are reflecting the jewels around them. There'll also be my reflection within the jewels, showing the reflections of the other jewels in my reflection. So there's that wonderful principle that we are all reflections of each other. We are all that divine, on that divine connected web. And so, you know, an example of that is that if you go out into the world really angry, cruising for a fight, you'll find someone and you'll piss them off and they'll punch you in the face. You'll get that frequency that you put out. But equally, if you go out there thinking, oh, how can I be a really loving soul and think of others and do that, you know, you get it back, sort of thing. It's the universe has a wonderful way of reflecting what we are ourselves, sort of thing. As you think, so you shall be, sort of thing. Yeah.
Yes, and that's why, although people started talking about it back in the 60s, the law of attraction absolutely works. Really does.
So I
magic.
wanted to talk to you a bit about your groups. You know, if you could kind of give us a quick update on.
Yes, of course. Well, you know the sickness group, which I started 11 years ago with the aim of bringing together people who were looking to explore, let's call it the bigger picture of life or the spiritual aspect. And that's grown and grown. It's got a sense of community now, as you have experienced. And for those who don't know, here I've invited Matt every year continuously to talk about his communication with the extraterrestrials, the benevolent ones. And we won't talk about the malevolent ones because that could take 3 hours. And I remember what you said about the Vatican and how the malevolent ones are in control there. And it's not just the Vatican, but we better not go down that hole. The benevolent ones are the ones that we have the opportunity of being in connection with. And it's so lovely to have you talk to the group about that. And it is also, again, connection. It's open-heartedness. There is love. And so that brings everyone together. And anyone can do this. It's not just, I'm not saying I'm great at doing it. Anyone can do it. And we will need, especially with everything that's happening in the world at the moment, and it's going to accelerate, we will need even more to connect with other people. So anyway, that's that group which you know well. And then the other one is called the Taunton Health Hub. I should say, for those who don't know, I'm based in Somerset. And the idea was to encourage people, and that's our mission, to empower people to take care of their health, in brackets afterwards, themselves, so that they can stand back and think of different ways in which they can take care of their health, and I'm not blaming the NHS, poor thing, it's in a terrible state, and doctors have never been trained in nutrition. I asked one, how much in all those years did you spend on nutrition? And he said, I think one afternoon. And there are also, when it comes to understanding what the causes of illness can be, and that could be another 3-hour conversation, because a lot of people don't understand that it is negative emotions that can bring about that. And that's why areas such as German New Medicine is so fascinating. And we're just about on Saturday to run a workshop on German New Medicine.
Oh, okay.
And one of the leading people in the country is coming from Wales to give. It's only 20 quid, but it's an opportunity to understand the science behind it and how an emotional shock can bring about an illness, which most people are not aware of. And it's no one's fault. It's just that that's the way we've been brought up. You know, if you're not feeling well, go and see the doctor because the doctor knows best.
Yeah, I mean, emotional trauma is more powerful than physical trauma.
Yeah.
And we are beings
Absolutely.
of energy. So the more people can understand how to deal with their nervous system, because that's the actual thing that's regulating
Yes.
what reality is coming to them, effectively,
Yeah.
what's collapsing the field into their reality. So, yeah, helping people to understand that energy dynamic of themselves, you know, the way their body operates and the way their nervous system identifies thoughts and things like that is really, really important. And of course, it's the new medicine, you know, it's again saying that we are the tech, we can use machinery, yes, but, you know, it really all comes from within, first of all.
It does. And I'll just finish very quickly, because there are other people to speak, to say that our biggest event is called the Taunton Wellbeing Day, where we have about 20 practitioners who have stalls and people can find out what they offer. And I have two keynote speakers, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. And I've got one talking about autism. She's written a book about how she helped her son through that. I'm now looking one keynote speaker, if anyone's got any ideas, keynote speaker for the afternoon. But it brings the public in who want to explore. You can't make people explore,
No.
you have to wait until they're ready.
Yes.
But it's something that I feel privileged to take part in. I am supported by a small team of people, which is really helpful because you can't do these things on your own.
You know, this is the aim, you know, with every PLC hub, I hope to have a health hub so that, you know, people can just walk in, have a chat, get control of their health, and know about all these kind of alternative stuff that's been suppressed, you know, loads of stuff to do with the tobacco, to helping Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, you know, loads of stuff to do with taking all the seed oils and stuff. And giving selenium and vitamin D to people with Alzheimer's and autism and stuff like that as well. So all these kind of new stuff it's not new, it's just been suppressed. These health hubs are fountains where you can share that information and people can actually be more informed than they would just going to sort of NHS and learning the big pharma protocols kind of thing. So yeah, if you've got any poster, could you put it on the PLC main hub for people, because then hopefully they can come along as well and support you on Saturday. That'd be great.
You mean on your website?
Yeah, on the Telegram group.
Telegram. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Robin.
Yeah, people are asking about information and can they be on the list. All I need is their email address. So so if anyone is interested, please just put in the chat their email address and I'll make sure that they get the information.
Good stuff. Thanks, Robin. Appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
So who have we got next? We've got Barbara. Hi, Barbara.
But Barbara said she wasn't going to speak today.
Okay, no probs. Nice to see you on the call, though. Shareva. Hi, Shareva. Okay, could be busy. No probs. And who we've got? Diane. Hi, Diane. I think we've reached the ones that like just to kind of listen.
We've got Ingrida.
Ingrida. Hi. You don't have to talk. It's fine if you're busy ironing in the nude. That's fine. I'd rather the camera wasn't on, or skateboarding on a train somewhere in the continent of the Urals. Bit difficult to get visual, so I can understand, if that's. But how are we doing for time?
9:10.
Oh
10,
wow,
yes, 10
we've
past 9.
overshot the mark. It's so fascinating, you know. I just absolutely love speaking to all of you, and every one of you. You know, I'd love to speak for longer, but it's nice just to get a little snippet and catch up with you guys each week. And you know, this is what we're doing. This is we're building this wonderful global network of beautiful souls, and basically that is the breakaway society that destroys the, you know, makes the old one obsolete, just by being ourselves and being in that heart space and finding common unity with these kind of ways of living, the holistic lifestyle. So, you know, long may we continue to do this. I only think we're just getting our grip on the ground and literally starting to push up on the chop blocks on that running track. We built the wheel and we put it in the river, and it's just starting to turn now. All these, I mean, PLC's only just started to get going, and I'm getting very excited because there's lots of opportunities coming up. So I'll stop on my ramble now, but just to say you're all absolutely fantastic, and I really do love all your support, and it's, you know, I just want to give it back as well, and we've got this. We're going to make things. We're going to show how the old ways are just no longer sustainable. So yeah. All right, guys, have a lovely week.
Thank you.
And
Thank you, Matt.
lots of love, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Trevor.
Thanks, Matt.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
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 Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye,
Lots of love.
Jen.